Crazy talk. And that's why every time I go to Fuddruckers, Bert, I have to pretend to be blind. So, on today's episode, we're going to talk Alex Ovechkin, passing the great one. Long career. I mean, it shocked me, like, looking at photos from his first game to the game. He, like, just how much he's, like, you forget how long he's been in the league. And we'll talk about Rob Manfred's interesting comments about not only just torpedo bats, but advancing the game of baseball finally, and what he wants to accomplish before his contract expires in a couple years. And Juan Soto, has he been disappointment so far? According to Bert, a salty, bitter Yankee fan, these are the tough questions, and we're going to ask them and answer them next.
Give them a shot to do what?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Bert, by the haters. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers, last timers, podcast listenership, YouTube viewership, social media ship, hate watchers, all that good stuff. Bert, what's up, man?
Not a lot, man. It's Tuesday. Sports happening over the weekend. Catching a little bit of baseball, a little bit of hockey, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yeah. NCAA tournament came and went. Naturally, we're not going to talk about it because I didn't watch a minute. I didn't watch a second. I watched the UConn and South Carolina women's championship that turned into a blowout, and then I quickly changed the channel because I'm not a big fan of blowouts in sports when I'm not really invested in other teams. Scott Flatham sucks. Yeah, Scott and the Penn Bulldogs, trash. I heard they lost yesterday. Garbage. 7-0. You guys call yourself Bulldogs. Bulldogs don't get shut out. It's ridiculous. Those guys are ridiculous over there.
Shit.
So, Bert, the big news in the sports week this week, hockey legend, before our very eyes, Alex Ovechkin, broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record, right? Like, just played for like 30 years. He scores on a power play for number 895, becoming the all-time goal leader from the sweet spot, top left circle, or so I'm told. They stopped the game for like several minutes. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, came out. They had a little mini ceremony. Ovi called it crazy. Bert, you watched it happen. Tell me, how would you describe it?
It was an away game at the Islanders, and when he scored that goal, I watched it over and over and over again because as a hockey fan, the celebration for this milestone from everyone from Wayne Gretzky, whose record was just broken, down to the newer fans, it was just great because everybody wanted to see it. Even like the building absolutely erupted. Even Islander fans, they just got scored against. They were just completely ecstatic, and it is history, right? I cannot say for certainty that record is going to be broken in my lifetime. 895 did it in 1,487 games, or excuse me, no. Gretzky did it in 1,487 games, and then Ovi broke his record in the same amount of games too, with one more goal. Obviously, there's still a couple games left in the season, so that number could absolutely go up. And now Alex Ovechkin, not only was he already a Hall of Fame player, he is now the all-time leading goal scorer. And to put it in perspective for you, the next highest goal scorer, aside from Wayne Gretzky, who's now at number 2, was Gordie Howe, who scored 801. Yager 766, and rounding out the top 5 was Brett Hull at 741. There isn't an active player that even sniffs Alex Ovechkin's record. The only other active player right now that is, I guess, the second highest goal scorer who's an active player is Sidney Crosby at 622.
Yeah, and
So
he's
got
He's
like,
2 years younger than Ovi, right? So basically, it's not like
yeah, he's played about 1,300 games. He's faced some injury on and off, so otherwise he'd be like right up there too game wise. But goal wise, no. I mean, he's well over 200 behind, and there's no way he's
He basically, yeah. What I was trying to get at is he's not that younger than him. That
Correct.
there's a right, like, so it's not like he has a lot of extra time to kind of make up some of that ground.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some of the greats. I did look up because, as most people can gather, I'm not a big hockey guy, but I wanted to pay respect to Bert and Alex Ovechkin and the topic. And I looked up some of Alex Ovechkin's records. He has 149 game opening goals, NHL record. And I'm not going to keep saying NHL record. Every stat I read is an NHL record. 150 game tying goals, 291 go-ahead goals, 136 game-winning goals, 19 30-goal seasons, 14 40-goal seasons, 9 50-goal seasons, and 9 seasons where he led the NHL in goals. So that's 8, and then 9 if you count obviously the total amount of goals. But he has 9 NHL records. Bert, you named some of the guys. When I think of hockey, Mount Rushmore as a casual fan, obviously Wayne Gretzky is up there. I think Mario Lemieux. You mentioned Brett Hull, maybe Bobby Orr. Where, and I'm not trying to say I don't think Alex Ovechkin has taken over any one of those guys, but where would you put him all time? Like, where does he rank? Is he above? Has he surpassed Lemieux, or has he surpassed like Yager, somebody like that?
No. I mean, he's up there. He's I would say he's on the outskirts of a top 10, if not inching his way into a top 10 for me. I mean, this is like trying to rank quarterbacks. It's so tough, and there's so many different things to look at. Yes, he's the all-time, leading goal scorer. When it comes to total points, though, he's like 11th or 12th on the list. You also got to take in plus minus too, and so on. But I mean, the biggest thing to remember, and much like we rate quarterbacks as well, a lot of the greats that are in the top 10. So you have like your Wayne Gretzky's, your Yagers, your Mark Messier, Gordie Howe, Steve Yzerman, Mario Lemieux, Joe Sakic, and so on. The majority of those guys played in a different version of hockey. And, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, today's version is a goal scoring league and it's much faster. I mean, it actually is. So, but overall, I mean, you can't negate the fact that he's a phenomenal player. He is one of the greats. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer and will go in right away. He's got 1 Stanley Cup to his name, which is enough, honestly. But even if he didn't have that, his personal accolades alone are just, enough. We have been saying for a long time that he is one of the best players in the game, much like we say with Sidney Crosby too, who's still actively playing as well. And he's also on that like top 10-ish list as of right now. And who's to know what happens after this season? The Caps are sitting in a good spot, right? So, playoff wise, let's see if they go far. I do think we'll get maybe one more year. If not, I mean, there was rumor circulating is Ovi going to retire before he breaks the record, because we didn't know if it was going to happen this year, especially with his leg injury. Now that it's happened, you sit here and wonder, does he have enough to come back for one more season? I also wouldn't be surprised if after this season, if they don't end up winning it all, he's like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm not saying he's old, but by hockey standards, he's starting to look old. So,
he looks, I told you before the show, I looked, they were showing clips of like his first game versus now. And I'm like, God, hockey whooped this dude's ass. Like, that's just the amount of hockey.
I mean, celebrating. I mean, he was, dude, it's wild. Like, to break this is what I love about sports. The stories you can tell behind it. And as that commenter just said, he broke his record in the same amount of games. You cannot write something as picture perfect as that, like a movie script. And to have Wayne Gretzky there, and such a fantastic ambassador of the NHL and the game. And, he said time and time again that the NHL and, the league, the game has given him so much. So he's always there to give back. He was there when, Ovi was 3 goals away from breaking his record. He ended up scoring 2 goals that night and tied the record. So Wayne Gretzky was there to congratulate him. And then Wayne Gretzky made sure he was there for the next game, knowing that there was a chance. And honestly, if he didn't score it Sunday, we would have saw Wayne Gretzky at every single game until he actually did break the record. The respect is just, it was unbelievable. And I love the little ceremony. I love the merch. The bench absolutely clearing out and going to congratulate him. At the end of the game, Ilya Sorokin, the goalie for the Islanders that he scored against, he gave Ovi his stick, and he said at the end of the season he's going to get his glove too. So I mean, just to see that type of respect in a game, it's awesome.
Somebody asked me what I thought was more impressive: Ovechkin scoring 895 or LeBron beating Kareem's points. All-time leader. They're both all-time leader in points, and this is not anti-LeBron, but when I think of, and I think this is where a lot of people have an issue with LeBron in terms of trying to put him above Jordan. When you're so genetically gifted, I'm not saying it's like PEDs, but it's an advantage. And on top of it, hockey is like the most physical sport. And to get that many goals, I don't know if anybody's actually watched hockey. I've had the pleasure of watching a game live with my brother Bert right here. It's violent. It's fast. It's not easy to score a goal, especially when you're good at basketball. When you're shooting, there's rules to prevent people from stopping you from scoring. Right? Like somebody can't just jump up at the last second and grab the ball out of the hoop. There's a goalie in hockey, so it's not like if you're a good enough shooter, you're going to make a lot of your shots. You're going to accumulate those points. So with hockey, there's not only guys trying to knock your head off, but there's also a goalie actively trying to stop you from scoring. And in basketball, there's less chances of that happening. So I would say the hockey, on top of the physicality, the fact that I think it's harder to score, and like that's a lot of beating to your body to take. In the NBA, it's not as physical. So
while doing it with knife shoes,
right? Yeah, like we've literally had shows where we're like recapping how our dudes are getting their necks sliced open during the game. Like there's no threat of that type of danger in basketball, right? Like you're not gonna, you may fall and like break your leg, tear your ACL, but like getting your jugular cut is a threat that you kind of have to pay attention to. So that's even like, it's up to me. Hockey's just more mental. Even just to skate, at least in basketball, you just got to run. Like, you know what I mean? You don't even have to, like, there's so many other components to hockey that makes it way more difficult of a sport to play than basketball, that I would have to say that Ovechkin, without having any prior knowledge to hockey, other than casually watching it, I'm more impressed by a hockey player having the most points or goals ever than a basketball player having the most points ever, especially when you're super gifted like that. All right, Bert.
Mm-hmm.
So today, this is perfect that we talked about this today.
Mm-hmm.
As my Mets sit at 8-3, and your Yankees are gasping for air, trying to stay above 500
by Detroit. Jesus,
gasping for air, just trying to stay above 500.
Yeah,
you wanted to pose the question.
Yeah,
do we as Mets fans feel that Juan Soto so far, about a dozen games in or so, has been a disappointment? I want to hear your logic and your rationale behind that.
Because you paid him $765 million and he's hit 1 home run so far. He's like ranked 50th in terms of batting average. I don't even think he's even high up when it comes to OBP too. And like, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of season left. What made me pose this question is y'all stop talking shit about him. I stopped hearing chirps left and right. I was just wondering, and I think what got me going too is, in recapping the last 2 MLB off seasons we've had huge signings, absolutely dominant signings. Shohei Ohtani became the highest paid player in baseball with his giant $700 million contract, and then Juan Soto the very next year going $765. The difference is, and I'm not saying the Mets are bad, and I'm not saying Juan Soto is bad. I'm simply posing the question: throughout the first 2-3 weeks of the season, should we expect more production from Juan Soto? Getting paid $765 million, nothing deferred, to be the offensive juggernaut he should be. We're watching Shohei do it for the second year in a row. So what, I guess, what, as a Met fan, what are you expecting for $765 million? Because I'll be honest with you, if the Yankees if he went to the Yankees and we paid him 762 or 764, whatever it was, and he had the same numbers as of right now, I'd be like, why did we spend the money?
So before we get to that,
yeah,
Pem Bulldog, we got an update from Pem ESPN. Pem Bulldogs have dropped the past 2 games, 6-3, 15-3. How do you feel about Bulldog performance and Coach Scott Flatham being on the hot seat? Listen, this is a make or miss league, okay? You either make the playoffs and you make it happen, or you got to get dropped, man. Like, you can't drop these. Mike Malone just got fired, the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history. They're on a 4-game losing streak, about to enter the playoffs as the 4th seed in the West. And you know what they said? Hit the bricks, kid. We need winners here. So, to me, Coach Scott Flatham has 1 more game, or you guys got to cut him. Get rid of him. I mean, it's ridiculous. Dropping 2 games to that level of competition is bad. It's almost as bad as the Yankees losing to the Detroit Tigers. I mean, that's where we're getting of this.
Embarrassed by Detroit for the 2nd day in a row.
Of Coach Bauer's going to beat the allegations. Listen, sometimes you just have to trust the process and trust the system. Okay, tell the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And I know I'm talking like a real white guy like right now, and brothers don't get the benefit of the doubt, but it's the best. It's the best chance you got. All right, Bert. I will say this: it is a long season. I hear you, but let's put some things in context. Juan Soto wasn't brought here to single-handedly carry the Mets. This isn't a Bryce Harper Philly situation. He was here because, if you remember, the Mets made it pretty far in the playoffs, if I recall, like a magical playoff run, and probably should have won their series. But anyway, he wasn't brought here to single-handedly carry the Mets. And including today's game, which is April 8th, he has been on base 10 of the last 11 games. He's sandwiched between Lindor and Pete Alonso. And what that does is, like, and honestly, it worked out today because they were scared of Soto that they walked him, right? So when Soto's walked, it's Pete Alonso, who's having a monster season so far. I believe he's 3rd in the majors in RBIs.
Yeah, he's doing great.
So I hear you about individual performance, but again, he's not here to do that. And so like through the statistical lens, I can see why people would feel that way, but it's the first 10, 11 games, like, you know what I mean? And I don't want to overreact. And the big thing for me is the fact that he has hits and has safely reached base 10 of those 11 games. And on top of the 7 walks, which has benefited Pete Alonso. It happened again today. They walked him, and Pete Alonso drove in 2 RBIs because they were scared. So the Mets investment in Soto is for the long term. So I don't want to, like, I'd rather him start whatever you want to call slow, considering that the team is 8-3 now, rather than have him come in and produce a bunch of fireworks, but the team be losing. Does that make sense? Like, I'm okay. I'm okay with what's happening now because it's leading to, he's doing what he needs to do to win.
Look, I anticipate production to rise from him. And if not, you better hope you get into the playoffs and you make it far, because to me, the only reason to justify that is to create that winning culture to get you the championship, plain and simple. But we all know superstardom comes with a price, and it's comparison to the second highest person getting paid. And for us, that monster contract was Shohei Ohtani the year before, where through a 10-game production, he was incredibly offensive with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, scored 8 runs, and stole 4 bases too. We know Juan Soto's not a base stealing guy. We totally get it. But listen, you want to be the top dog. This is the price you're going to pay just by weight of comparison. So look, again, for everybody that thinks I'm just a Met hater out there, I'm not. Okay. I, for the most part, keep my mouth shut until it's time to gloat. I'm not saying the Mets are bad. I'm not saying Soto is bad. But for $765 million, don't you want a little bit of entertainment with it? Don't you want to see your boy hit bombs?
Oh yeah, I
You
mean,
want to see him do
I
something
do.
more than kick a ball in the outfield, you know?
I mean, again, looking at box scores is very dangerous. Juan Soto is responsible for 30 runs that he scored or driven in. 12 of the Mets 35 runs this season. That's 34%. So 25% of the points accumulated, almost over 25% of the points accumulated by the Mets are responsible because of Juan Soto. I hear you, but that's the number I'm trying to pay attention to. Again, if I think it was the first series against the Astros, like he had a chance to win the game, struck out, and then the second game he didn't even swing. It looked bad, but we're talking about 11 games into the season, so I don't want to overreact specifically because the team is winning. And you're talking to a guy who criticizes the Bills when they win because coaching decisions. But so like I'm with it. Like there's things that I would like to see, but he is productive, right? Like he is in a different way. Maybe not the way that we're used to, but he also has a track record of being pretty good, Bert. So I'm going to take his entire career of being really good versus the first couple games of the Mets because we paid him a bunch of money and not try to overreact to that. So I'm down.
Look, time will tell, right? I mean, I think we're going to get into a situation where I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get walked. They're not going to want to pitch to him. There's going to be an argument down the line by me that says, could you have gotten somebody for $764 million to do the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah. But at that point, it's like we can't as Mets fans say, hey, we want to be talked about like the Yankees or the Dodgers. You spend the money on the star players, right?
Wait, hold on. You're saying Met fans don't want to be talked about like the Yankees or the Dodgers?
No. I'm saying they do. They want to be taken seriously.
Okay.
You have the billionaire.
Okay.
You have the billionaire owner. So you can't say, hey, we want to be talked about like these guys and not quote unquote overpay for a star player. Like we didn't overpay for, just some decent person. You know what I mean? Like we Nick Castellanos, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's Juan Soto. Like, I mean, come on now. And the fact that we took him from the Yankees, I'm going to give him a little bit more grace. But again, it's also because it's not like he's in a rut. Like people are talking like he's in a rut. If this is his floor, then I'm more than happy to pay him $700 million because his floor is more productive than a lot of guys in the league. And we're 8-3 and the Yankees are barely above 500.
Barely,
and
yeah, I know.
You guys lost to the Tigers, so it's cool.
We did, but it's cold there. That's why they moved the game in the afternoon, and the guys aren't warmed up. I will say, and since you brought it up, there's no one talking shit about the Yankees bats when we're not even hitting. So can everybody please you can write in your apology and say, I'm sorry, Bert and Jerm, you're right. I was overreacting. I was talking too much shit about bats that were completely legal. And Rob Manfred came out and said it's good for the game. But, so everybody needs to just shut the fuck up. Yeah.
The one thing I will say about the Mets, this is not really a Juan Soto thing. The one criticism I think me and you had talked about before the season even started, the one concern that I had was the bullpen. I said, we're going to really roll out there with Kodai Senga and them. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just couldn't even name them. It was just Kodai Senga and them boys. And best bullpen in baseball statistically. I mean, so I'm not saying that's a sustainable thing, but it's a happy surprise, I'll say.
The thing with baseball is it's never sustainable. The season's too long. It really is. And you have to rely on good managing and good management to be able to bring in the right pieces and identify where the gaps are throughout the season and make the right moves, plain and simple. I think that is what it is. But listen, like I said, the Mets are not a bad team. They're absolutely not. And Met fans should be rejoicing. You guys are You guys really stuck it to the Marlins,
Yeah. Before we move on to Rob Manfred,
Yeah.
which borough did Cody Bellinger get the wings that he got sick from? Just tell me where he got them from. We know it. Come on, we know it. Let's say it on 3. We know which borough it is.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Let's do it.
Brooklyn, maybe.
Yonkers. Oh man! All right, so you mentioned Rob Manfred earlier, and he had some pretty interesting comments about the torpedo bats. Said that they were good for the game. But it was a little bit more than that. I think the New York Times, I think he was doing an interview for the New York Times or whatever, but he talked about not just the torpedo bats, but expansion, which is always fun, and robot umpires, which, I think me and you have kind of championed in terms of, and maybe not robot umps per se, but like, the automated ball strike system stuff and challenging and just certain advancements to baseball. Did you get a chance to like kind of hit the cliff notes of his interview enough?
I did. I think it started out great, overall. And of course, I got the alert, the ESPN alert that said, Rob Manfred says these bats are good for baseball. And, the first thing I did was screenshot that and was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because listen, you said it last week. You literally were just like, I doubt Rob Manfred and MLB has an issue with this because more offense is good for the game. And Manfred's comments were essentially just reaffirming what we already knew thanks to research after the fact, after everybody lost their mind about weird looking bats, is that players have been moving around the sweet spot for a while. This has been going on. But what he said, and I like this quote, I believe that the issues like the torpedo bat and the debate around it demonstrates the fact that baseball still occupies a unique place in our culture because people get into a complete frenzy over something that's really nothing at the end of the day. The bats comply with the rules, which I took this as twofold. One, it goes with the fact of it's within the rules. It is what it is. Everybody stop arguing about it. But also, and he followed up with, another quote basically saying that this game is more important than is just captured by television ratings or revenue or any of those things when you can have discussions and debates about it and everything specific, everything that you just mentioned from, the legacy of the game and moving away from human umps and going to more like strike zone robot umps, if you will. There's been large debates about that. What about your seasoned players that are getting calls and, your not so seasoned players not, with your elite pitchers that are, getting calls for strikes when the zone is expanded a little bit. Like that's all a part of the game. How many times have you heard this over and over again? Jerm, how many times have we heard that, when the pitch clock thing came into play, everybody was just like, this is absurd. This is ridiculous. There's the potential rule thrown out there that a pitcher can only check to first twice. And, so and every time one of these rules is brought up, individuals debate it through and through. The only thing they don't debate is $1 hot dog night. That's it. Yeah. But to Manfred's point, the game is so important. And having these debates, whether they're useless or not, it means something. It means something to the fan. It goes well beyond, what any revenue or viewership, calls to it. With that being said, he's somewhat a liar because I bet you he really does consider revenue and viewership. But at the end of the day, it really does mean something.
Yeah. He has to. I mean, he has to. Joey wants you to put your hands up and stop jerking off. I don't know what that means.
Can't even spell my name right. Yeah.
I know. It's best.
Dude, did your mic cut out?
My mic cut out. Am I here?
Oh, wait. Somewhat back.
Somewhat back.
Nah, it's not the mic, though.
Oh. Am I back? Am I good?
You're low from me.
I'm low? Uh-oh.
Yeah, it sounds like your computer might be picking it up.
Oh, let's see. It is my computer. What the heck just happened? Let's see.
Oh, there we go. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry. You're Illuminati. Good. See, this is what Rob, I'm telling you.
Rob Manfred. He's on
Manfred. Yeah. So he said torpedo bats are here to stay.
Yep.
Basically acknowledge the broader cultural reaction. Basically same thing you said. The they're in line with all the league specs, whatever. Robot umps by 2026.
Yep.
Basically, the automated ball strike system is being tested in the minors. Again, anything that gets the calls, and I think we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. Anything to get we were talking about football with the Hawkeye or Skyhawk
Yep.
or whatever NFL's calling it. But for any sport, really, honestly, we have the technology. So if we can use the technology to get the calls right, it may not matter in the first or second week of the season, but as we get to some of these pennant races and especially the playoffs, God forbid the World Series coming down to these calls. Thank God Angel Hernandez is retired. This is, automated ball strike system to me makes sense, right? Like you were talking, I remember one time you brought up tennis, right? Right there
Just
in
about
real
to say the
time.
same thing. Yeah. Yep.
Right there in real time. We know where if the ball is in or out, and it's a quick, they're fast enough to do this. We see it with the UFL. XFL did a really good job with replay. I can't imagine baseball, a bunch of smart guys around baseball can't figure out how to use technology to kind of make the calls that need to be made while also keeping the human element of the umpires. I'm sure they can come up with some sort of compromise there. He said the only problem with the ABS system is that it hinges on the player union negotiations.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are pitchers out there that rely on the relationships with the umpires to kind of, hey man, my slider's always a little low to the outside.
Yeah.
Help me out here. But it would but now we're talking about changing the dynamics greatly between pitching and hitting, right? Like once you start getting into automatic zones, oh, this guy's too short, this guy's tall. What's the zone for this? You know what I mean? Like
they'll obviously have to adjust it per
Yeah.
each one, right?
Yeah.
But like, what's the technology behind that? It's like I'm relying on advanced technology and individuals adapting it the right way, right? But also as a pitcher too, there's two sides to every coin, right? So yeah, you want that relationship where if you get an ump who's calling that strike zone a little bit wider, good for you. But if you get an ump that's calling it tight and you hit a corner like that, to not get those calls has to be just as frustrating.
Reaffirmed his goal to identify new MLB cities before his term ends. Nashville, Montreal, Salt Lake City remain in the mix. I haven't really given much thought to what team deserves a baseball. What city deserves a baseball team?
Wow, so he said Nashville, Montreal, and Salt Lake City. He's got till 2029 because that's when he's up, right?
Yeah.
All those are really good. Salt Lake, obviously, with the NHL moving out there too.
Yeah,
Nashville,
we did talk about this a few.
Yeah.
We did talk about this a few.
Nashville
Utah
would
makes
be cool.
sense. Nashville would be
but
cool.
to put a team back in Montreal, give us the
Yeah,
Expos again.
Yeah, bring us the Expos. No, if the Expos coming back before the Seattle Supersonics would be a shame.
Yeah.
It'd almost be malpractice. It's insane. Like you might as well bring back the Washington Bullets in the NBA. Like that's it's just it's unbelievable that all these teams are coming back before the Seattle Supersonics, and it's really pissing me off. And then he said that the MLB may explore. Now this would be the bullshit. May explore a soft salary cap in future labor talks. A salary cap in baseball has long been talked about, but Bert, I'll be honest, I do not see it happening.
It'd be tough to go back on it now when you're paying players close to $1 billion, right? So it would be tough because like, how do you grandfather those monster contracts? How do you deal with things like contract deferment, like with Shohei? So it's I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way. As long as the sport of baseball grows and as long as the owners are willing to spend the money, there's not a chance in hell the players will agree to a salary cap.
No.
It's, and I'm talking the players that we're making the money that we're talking about. But yeah, they're handing out $700 million contracts. Like there's no way that they're gonna implement any type of salary cap for baseball. So it's an interesting concept. It is probably something that they should do, but I think they're a little too late. Too little, too late kind of situation here
At this point, yeah.
At this point, because I will say, okay, so maybe I do
But if
think
are they gonna explore revenue share then too?
So that's another thing. He talked about revenue share. They're talking about I just lost it. Of course I closed it out because I was done late on the clip notes. They basically, there was a I can't remember the number. I want to say $2.5 billion of course, I closed it out and lost it. I lost it, but it was something that he talked about in terms of like the equity and kind of like estimated value of the league, and I'm guessing that was leading to revenue sharing, or it had something to do with the revenue sharing of the league. And I mean, but again, that's part of the deal. Every other league does that. So, you know, whatever the split ends up being, it's still going to be beneficial to the players. So I don't know why they wouldn't like, and it's going to be close to 50-50, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know why the players, and it may not help. So, and it's another one of those situations where it's not going to help the top end like the Shoheis, but it's going to help some of these other guys. You know, it's going to help the Jesse Winkers of the world, you know, that'll benefit from revenue sharing from the league. But yeah, Bert, I had some fair or foul. We got about 10 minutes. Maybe we can probably
let's
knock
get
these
into
out. As soon as I can find them. I mean, I love, you know what I love? I love the fact that you skated around the Juan Soto topic, and we didn't really talk about your Yankees struggling. So I think next week we should. Charlotte says hi. Say hi, Charlotte. What's going on, girl?
Oh, hey.
Um,
You talk about
because
talk about the Yankees and their
yeah,
woes. Yeah.
yeah. I'm
If they
hoping the
keep on
Yankees
this
go
path,
below.
then yeah. Like you'll see, like I'll bring it up myself. I'll be crying.
Mhm.
I'll be like, this is absurd. We have bats. We have funny looking bats.
Yeah. I just want you to be prepared that next week, if they lose, I
Mhm.
will be bringing it up.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's going to happen, and I want you to be prepared for it.
Yeah. Hey Scott, thanks for writing in. Said the cussing is pissing me off. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You know what you can do? Turn it off. Don't
Turn
care.
it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't care. You could unfollow us.
Yep.
Fuck it. Sorry. Not sorry. Not really. Dang, I had the fair or foul questions, and Bert, I guess I don't know. Oh, okay. I remember some. I remember some off the top of my head. Anthony Edwards of the NBA, some issues with his baby mom.
Oh,
decided. I guess he went to court for child support. The judge said $5,000 a month. He said, "Cool." He calculated $5,000 a month for the next 18 years. It turned out to be a million and some change, and he paid it all up front and said, "Leave me alone."
damn.
Fair or foul? Paying child
Fair.
support up front.
Fair.
Right?
Yep.
Hell yeah. Are
you got the money and you want to do it? Go for it. There should be zero discussion. You had already filled your side of the contract. Nothing else to it.
Yeah. Dodgers went to the White House to win their championship literally a few days after one of the NBA teams said, "Hey, we're not going to the White House." And then they decided, or the Eagles were like, "Oh, we're not going to the White House." They ended up going, but they made a big, Trump's in office, so people are making a big deal. But Bert, fair or foul, visiting the White House is a can't miss event.
Fair.
Yeah.
Regardless of your political affiliation. I mean, it is a tradition like no other. And you have the right as an individual to sit out. I mean, Tim Thomas did it with the Bruins when they were invited to the White House after they won the Stanley Cup. So you're entitled to that, but it is an honor to be invited by the highest office in the US, regardless of who's in the presidency.
Mookie Betts skipped it when they won with the Red Sox, and then he went with the Dodgers here this time. But yeah, when Trump was president the first time around, he had skipped it. But yeah, like, who cares, man? It's the White House. You kidding me? Like, I'm trying to get up in there. I don't care who the president is. You got to stand next to the guy for a few minutes. Go walk around the White House.
That's it. I mean, and again, you don't have to agree with what's going on. I don't, but it's not going to change the fact that he's the president.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the end of the day, isn't this what you want as a sports fan? You want it to be separated. This isn't a message. This isn't anything that they're trying to do. This is tradition that has been held for years and years for all major sports leagues to do this. And they take a picture, end of discussion.
Yeah. Like, you don't get many opportunities to do certain things in life. Going to the White House is one of them. You absolutely do it. Bert, fair or foul? NFL players should not be playing flag football in the Olympics in 2028.
Summer Olympics, right?
Yes.
Foul. I think they should.
Oof. I get flashbacks. I get PTSD from Edwin Diaz playing in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
I would be pissed if Josh Allen was out there playing flag football and he tries to do some little juke and he tears his ACL and he's out for the season.
But do
I
you
would
hold that
be,
same angst when you watch, NBA players in the Olympics?
I do 100%.
Okay.
We
Well, then I
just
can't
talked
call you
about,
a hypocrite.
right. We talked about
Look, I
Joel
get it. It's
Embiid.
a part of it. Like
Right.
when we went to look, when we talked about the Four Nations face off, I had said that's
Mhm.
like one of my biggest concern. But at the end of the day, I mean, just as we just talked about, I have to respect the fact that if you're an athlete and you get the opportunity to represent your country, whether it's flag football or actual basketball
Mhm.
or even hockey, if you get that opportunity, go for it.
I think if you're a star, you have no business doing it. If you're a role player, then cool. But we just talked, Joel Embiid went and played this past Olympics in the USA, and he should have been recovering from his knee injury, and
Yep.
it derailed the entire 6-year season.
Yeah.
And it's because he played in the Olympics and did not rest like he was supposed to. And
Well, I mean, that's just not following what he like orders and what he's supposed to be doing. But I mean,
yeah,
can you think of a world where, Kobe, MJ, Magic, they're not playing for Team USA,
I hear you. I hear you. Maybe this. I've just been bogged down with bad luck when it comes to this stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe
I get it. I get
I'm
it.
jaded.
If it's gonna happen to anybody, it would happen to Josh Allen.
100%. Fair or foul, Kirk Cousins is a more viable starting option than Aaron Rodgers in 2025.
At this point, yeah, because doesn't he have a job?
Yeah,
Isn't he-
technically.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's still technically on the Falcons, but signs are pointing that they're going to probably trade him. But
yeah.
he is. I think they're just going to go full fledged with Penix.
Still nothing
Uh,
on Rod. I haven't. I mean, it's been dead quiet.
I know.
I haven't
I
heard
know.
anything.
If I'm a Steelers player, Steelers fan, I'm pissed. I'm like, all right, dog. Like enough.
At this point, you just have to assume he just
Yeah.
doesn't want to play anymore.
100%. 100%.
Especially moving into the draft, right? Like, I mean, what are teams to do? They got it. They got to
Steelers
draft.
and well, this is where Aaron Rodgers has the power play because the Steelers don't have the first round pick until 21. So by then, I mean, what are you going to take a flyer on somebody? Like you hoping Shador falls? Shador went from being the first or second pick. I just saw a latest mock draft. I seen a mock draft that had him at 9 to the Saints, which would probably be pretty good. And then I had him at 21 to the Steelers, like falling late to the first round. There's been a couple where he's been in the teens or even late 20s. And the draft will be very interesting. I'll be very interested to see what happens with Shador Sanders. Bert, fair or foul? The NCAA tournament should expand to 96 teams.
Jesus, foul. That's way too many. No, keep it as is. Unless you want to do a play-in.
More parity, more options equals more chaos. It's March Madness. Let's get nuts. 96 teams. Let's go. Like fuck
You
it.
want to get nuts?
Yeah. Let's get nuts. You mentioned concessions at baseball. Eastern Carolina College is doing free concessions, which I think is awesome.
Oh shit.
So concession should be free to all sporting events. Fair or foul?
I mean, I think that's fair, but I mean, I would love to not pay, $12 for a Bud Light, but that's just not the reality I live
So
in.
here's the thing. I don't consider beer.
So you think alcohol charged, but when you say concessions, what do you
I'm
think?
talking
Soda and food?
Right. I'm thinking, the hot dogs and the sodas and popcorn and like things like that.
There have been times where I had been fortunate enough to grab one of those like all-inclusive tickets, like one of those like shared suites, if you will, not like an individual one. And I'll be honest with you, not like paying everything up front with your ticket and not having to worry about anything else once you got there. I mean, that was nice. So I mean, if you're gonna raise ticket prices a little bit, but the second I get there, everything else is free. Oh, I'll get my money's worth.
Yeah, I think it also helped like the teams that don't have a lot. We watch the Athletics have, and I know that stuff is more political, but
yeah.
But I'm saying like if you're a bottom feeding team and you're terrible, but if you want people to come to the games, obviously free concessions, somebody will go down there for a free soda and a hot dog and watch a bad team.
I mean, we're close to free. I mean, they do dollar dog night,
Right. So like free, and like I said, I don't like branded things like beer. Like I'm talking like things that you can buy prison style, right? Hot dogs and buns and burgers and soda.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like stuff like that should be free. Popcorn.
Yeah, they're just gonna be making hot dogs with like the squirrels and raccoons and shit they catch in the dumpster out back. Yeah.
Dino nuggets at the baseball game.
Nuggets.
Putting ketchup on a hot dog, fair or foul?
Foul. Gotta be mustard.
Oh dang, man.
My son though, he puts it on his hot dog, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like,
I treat that like hot sauce, man. I put that shit on everything, man. I
Yeah.
love ketchup. I love ketchup. All right, man. This was fun, Bert.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Yeah, next I think we'll do a little NFL draft stuff since we'll be another week closer.
Yep.
And whatever else comes up. Do you have a game ball you want to give out?
It's going to Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I know I did it last week on the chase, but actually him actually doing it this weekend. The second he did, I was like, well, I know where my game ball is going this week.
My game ball is going to Julio Jones, who officially announced his retirement, signifying the official end to my youth. Julio Jones, probably one of the greatest receivers of all time. I'm not going to sit there and say he's top 10 or anything, but when you think of great receivers, Julio Jones, sad that he had to waste his career in Atlanta with Matt Ryan, Hall of Very Good.
Sad that their defense completely
blew
ruined a
it.
Super Bowl win.
Yeah, to an otherwise fantastic season by Atlanta, and Matt Ryan just completely shit the bed for those two. But Julio Jones, I mean, when you think of all-time talents, I mean, easily one of the greatest receivers I've ever watched play. That man was a monster. So shout out to him, and happy retirement, whatever he decides and he wants to do with his life. All right, Bert. Next week, hey, make sure you guys follow us at Stuff About Sports on Instagram, www.giveusashot.network. Everybody stay safe, stay happy, and we'll talk to you guys next week.